This video will be some new information about balancing chemical equations. Please title the appropriate page in your notebook, Balancing Chemical Equations. Please follow along and take the following notes. There are 3 steps to balancing chemical equations. Step 1. Make sure all formulas are charge balanced. Don't forget diatomics. Step 2. Identify and count the atoms on each side, products and reactants. Step 3. Add coefficients until the number of atoms on the products and the reactant sides are equal. Do not add subscripts, as this will make our formulas no longer charge balanced, which will throw off our overall chemical equation balance. Let's practice balancing a chemical equation. I am going to balance sodium chloride plus fluorine makes sodium fluoride plus chlorine. I write down the appropriate symbolic formulas for these compounds and add charges to each atom. I remember that there are diatomics on fluorine and chlorine. Next, I divide my products from my reactants and identify the elements on each side. I count the number of atoms on my reactant side first: 1 sodium, 1 chlorine, and 2 fluorines. On my product side, I have 1 sodium, 2 chlorines, and 1 fluorine. In my last step, I see that sodium has 1 atom on each side, chlorine has 1 atom on the reactants, and 2 on the products. In order to get 2 chlorine atoms on my reactant side, I add a coefficient 2 in front of NaCl. This changes both the sodium and the chlorine. Now my chlorines are balanced, but my sodiums are not. I therefore add a coefficient 2 in front of sodium fluoride on the product side. This not only changes my sodium number, but also my fluorine. Looks like my sodiums are balanced, my chlorines are balanced, and my fluorines are balanced. That means I have a balanced chemical equation. The last thing to do before we practice more balancing is to take down some tips that will help us make balancing easier. Number 1, always start with carbon if it is in the reaction. Number 2, keep polyatomic ions together when you are able. This means that when you count and identify your atoms, a polyatomic counts as 1 element. Number 3, balance diatomics or lone elements last. And finally, number 4. As needed, rewrite H2O as HOH. This should only be done when you see an OH on either the products or reactants with water on the other side. This should never be done in a combustion reaction. Watch the next video for some practice on balancing chemical reactions.